Okay. All right, Shannon, you can put us back on the record.
Okay.
All right, we're ready to roll. You may continue, Mr. Navarre.
Thank you, Your Honor. Danny, how would you describe your relationship with Lila?
We're very close. She and I have similar interests. She loves to do crafty stuff, and I love that stuff. We'll do each other's nails. We'll hang out. I know recently she said to Justin, she's like, "Can you just go away for a day so Danny and I can have a girls' day?" So we have a good relationship.
And what activities are you involved in with her when she's in your home or exercising parenting time with Justin, her dad?
Well, it's just weekends. So whatever we're doing on the weekend, most of the time we're just at home. I mean, a lot of stuff's closed, but sometimes we will see friends or things like that. We don't have like dance or anything like that because it's just weekends.
Are you able to assist her in her education if you had the opportunity to do that?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. I'm certified up to 5th grade, and beyond that, teaching is teaching. So as long as I can understand the content, which shouldn't be a problem, then yes, absolutely.
And are you willing to encourage her from an education standpoint as it relates to any religious upbringing?
We do not practice, but we have never discouraged any of that. If Lila would want to go to church, that could be something that we could do. My children attend church with their father. And if they ever expressed an interest, or if Lila did, that would be something that we could do.
You heard testimony earlier that you're an atheist. Is that correct?
It is not. I've never identified as an atheist. I identify agnostic, which basically means I'm skeptical, but that's about it. We also hold very strong Christian ideals, that you're kind to people, you treat people with respect. So regardless of any of our personal beliefs, you know, we're good people and we're raising good children that are honest and hardworking and kind to others. And we want them to be free to choose themselves. And we would never stop.
What kind of responsibility does Lila have when she's in your home? Do you have any responsibilities?
She keeps her room clean. She's vacuumed and things like that. She takes care of, she puts her laundry away. She'll help feed the dogs, let them outside. That's normal age appropriate things.
Does she generally offer to help out with the things around the house?
Oh yeah, yes, she is always willing to help, and she tries to help more than I would like her to. I said, no, hon, you go play. Let me do this.
What does she enjoy? Does she enjoy spending time with Justin, with you, with your girls?
Oh, absolutely.
Your Honor, I don't know how they can know whether she enjoys it.
I think they can make an assessment. Obviously, they can't read minds, but they can read behavior. I'll allow it.
Yeah, she's always smiling, and she will tell us like she's so happy, she's in a good mood. I know when she's here, she will talk to Justin's mom, and we're in the room, or we hear her, and she's saying, "Amy, I'm so happy."
Objection, Your Honor. Hearsay. She's saying. Yeah.
Well, actually, that's not hearsay. That's a present sense emotion expressed, I'm assuming, to say, I am happy. If she'd have said I was happy yesterday, I'd have had a little trouble with that. But that's a present sense utterance, and I think it's admissible.
Does she have a good relationship with your mom and dad, her grandparents?
Yes. Yeah, she calls them grandma and grandpa. They claim her as their grandkid.
And how would you describe that relationship between your mom and dad and Lila?
But just a normal grandparent type relationship. You know, my father will often go with Justin to pick her up, just to have somebody to go with. And, you know, he's always really excited to see her, and they always look forward. My parents offer to help. There's been a couple times that we've needed somebody to watch them for a day. Like I had to work the day before Thanksgiving, teachers work and the kids don't have school. So my mom watched all three of the girls in the house.
Your parents are retired, correct?
Yes, they are.
And would you describe, would you describe their relationship with Lila as very close, affectionate, loving?
Absolutely. Last time.
And do you observe, in observing Lila, does she seem to enjoy spending the time with your mom and dad?
Yes, she actually seeks out my dad. He knows a little bit about photography, like older stuff, and that's one of her interests. So I think they spent like 2 hours one day going through her camera right after she got it and talking about the different settings and things that they could do with it. And he looked up the manual online and they were talking and stuff.
Are they readily available to spend time with Lila if necessary?
Oh, absolutely. Yep, they're willing to help all the time.
And Justin has an aunt that lives about 2 blocks away. Is that correct?
Yes, and she is retired as well.
And what's she retired from?
She was an elementary school teacher.
And she could be available also to assist Lila with her education and if necessary, correct?
Absolutely.
How is her relationship with her great aunt?
It's great. Lila asks often when she gets to see Aunt Jan. When Jan knows that we'll have her, a lot of times she'll text Justin and ask to have time with just her, and they'll bake. They'll make cookies, they'll make pies, they'll do puzzles, things like that.
If Lila's going to continue with her remote education, you have resources in your home to support that?
Oh, yeah. Yep, we've got computers, we've got great internet access normally, people that are willing to help. Absolutely.
Thank you, Danny. I have no further questions.
If I may.
Questions, Mr. Weed?
Yes. Danny, you married Justin when?
November 21st of 2020.
And then it was how long after that you filed this motion? That Justin filed this motion?
It was very, very quickly because the actual incident happened that she posted on social media happened that same day.
It happened on January 15th?
I'm sorry?
It happened on January 15th? The incident happened on January 15th?
No, the incident happened on November 21st, and then Justin immediately got a hold of Philip. It does take some time to file things.
That's okay. Yes, you answered it. So does Justin drink alcohol?
He has a beer occasionally.
He does drink?
On occasion.
He does. Do you have full custody of your children?
Their father and I have shared parenting. I have about 80% of the time.
What does that look like?
He has them every other weekend, and through the week he has Tuesdays and Thursdays he has from 4 till 7, and every other Friday he has from 4 to 8 because our weekends run Saturday through Monday because of his work schedule.
What is Justin's work schedule?
Justin's work schedule? He currently works Monday through Friday. He works third shift, so he is there. He has to be in at 10:45 and gets off at 7:15.
10:45 at night?
Yeah, because he works third shift. He actually is beginning a new job next week in which he will be on first.
I asked you what he's working right now. Did the school shut down in Ohio?
Yes, the last day that children were in attendance last year was March 13th.
And did your other children, did they use, how did they do their schooling?
Our district did, for the elementary kids, paper pencil packets last year.
Not too sure what that is. What is that?
Oh, like a packet of worksheets that were a review, because we were initially told it was supposed to be 2 weeks, and then it ended up being a lot longer. So our district, a lot of the students don't actually have internet access, so it would have been inappropriate to require little ones to be on the internet all the time. So it was all sent home in paper pencil packets that they would complete and then turn in at various times.
So your own children, they weren't receiving a curriculum from the school. They weren't being taught by the school at that time?
None of the districts in Ohio were at that point.
Okay. And so you work at St. Mary's Public School?
Yes.
St. Mary's Public, what is it called?
St. Mary's City Schools. St. Mary's is the name of the city. It's not a religious school.
And so that's the same school that Justin was asking the school that Lila to be attending, correct?
Yes, that is where my children are. Well, my oldest.
So you're speaking about Lila coming was that over spring break that she came in 2020?
I don't know if it was or not. I don't know when their school schedule or when their spring break is.
Does your
time?
Does your school typically give out homework packets for your children on spring break?
No, but we did have Lila for more than 1 week.
Well, you had her for 10 days, correct?
I think it was closer to 2 weeks, but sure.
I think you had said 10 days.
I think the time was 10 days.
And during that time, was your children's school open?
Do you mean was my children's school open during their spring break? Or
no, during this time that Lila was there, were they attending school in person?
No, school shut down on March 13th. It was the last day that its children were in session in my district.
And it's at that time that you decided to do an assessment on Lila to see where she was academically?
I did not assess her. I was doing review with her to keep her going because we were under the assumption that school would return and we didn't want her falling behind.
And it was during that time, wasn't she just also grieving from losing her grandmother?
No, her grandmother passed away in November of 2020.
Okay. So November 2020, she was at your place too, correct?
Yes.
And that was during her Christmas vacation or about and around that, or was that before? I guess.
It would have been near Thanksgiving, but that wouldn't have been an entire 2 weeks off of school.
But you had said that you assessed her there too for her reading, correct? During that.
No, I did not run an assessment on her. I observed her reading.
Okay. But that is also during the time that she was grieving. the loss of her grandmother, you were saying? Correct?
Yes, but I also said that she reads well.
So you had done an assessment on her during spring break and then in November. Did you share any of that information with the mother?
I did not run an assessment on her. I did what was considered review.
Did you, the findings of your review, did you share that with the mother?
I don't speak to her.
Did you share that with Justin?
Yes, I did.
You know if Justin shared that with the mother?
I have no idea.
Wouldn't you think if you were concerned about that, that you'd probably want to share that with the mother?
I think there's a lot of communication breakdowns that happen on both sides because of previous history.
Well, do you think that my client can know what you're thinking, or do you think that, is it proper for me to say that you probably should have reached out to her and told her this information?
Why would I reach out to someone that I don't have a relationship with? I was not married to her. She's actually blocked me on Facebook. This is not a relationship. We are not friends. That is not my responsibility to speak to her. In fact, it is her responsibility to relay school information, and that isn't being done. So the only information that we have is what I've seen.
So you have never texted her in the past?
She messaged me on Facebook a few times, and I had asked her about Lila's hair care. I had asked if there was anything that she needed to be doing. And I had said that I was working with her on other things, but she has since blocked me, so I have no way to contact her.
You think that communication is important between parents and, step parents for sake of co-parenting?
Yes, I absolutely do. But as I said, she has me blocked, so I can't contact her.
So when Layla's at your house, does she have to babysit your kids?
Layla, my daughter?
Lila. I misspoke. Lila.
No, she does not babysit my children. We do not leave them unattended ever.
So where does your grandmother live? Your grandparents, I should say.
My grandparents are dead. Do you mean my parents?
Is it your parents you were talking about earlier? I'm sorry,
Yes.
I put it down. I must have wrote it down. It's her grand. Okay.
My parents live in Van Wert, which is 30 minutes north of here, so it's very close.
But why is it that Justin has to ride with them? I mean, for picking them up.
He doesn't have to ride with them. My husband and my father have a great relationship, so my dad has offered to keep him company. Also, when my husband is going to drive 2 hours, he's just come off work, and it's normally when he would be going to sleep because, as I stated, he works third shift.
Now,
Complications that you're making are unnecessary.
I'll let your attorney lawyer for you. But when it comes down to, do you know if Justin, your husband, does he have a valid driver's license?
Yes, he does.
Since you've been married, has he ever lost it?
He has physically lost the card, but has it suspended? Absolutely not.
Does he still have an interlock? Does he have an interlock system still installed in his car for breathalyzer?
Nope. As far as I know, he hasn't even been pulled over since we've been dating and together.
But you know of his past?
Yes.
What does his driving record look like?
I know he's had a couple DUIs, and they were 6-7 years ago.
But it happened after the divorce finalized?
I don't know.
That's all, Your Honor.
Any redirects, Mr. Navarre?
May I ask a question?
Nope.
I do have a couple to follow up, Your Honor. Danny, how would you characterize the relationship between Justin and Elise.
I know that it's been very difficult. I know that he's been stonewalled a lot. Before we took the recess, I was attempting to talk about how she threatened to not let him see her. There's a lot, and I have that text message. There's
Objection. We're not non-responsive.
What have you observed from Mrs. Murphy, Elise? What have you observed that interferes with or disrupts your husband and your opportunity to have Lila, present with you for his parenting time?
he will text message her and never get a response. He'll text message her again, still not get a response. And then he will have to text message Chris to finally get a response to get it set up. And it being 3 hours away is you have to have a plan in place. You can't just show up. And I've observed, you didn't do what I want, so you're not going to get your kid. Or, think.
So has he been denied parenting time with Lila because of conduct from Mrs. Murphy?
She has threatened to very recently as February, and we have that in writing.
Objection. That's, one, it's just not responsive. And two, I guess in writing, I would ask for best evidence at this point. I'd like to see the text message if they exist.
They do.
So I think as to being non-responsive, the question asked was, has he denied time? So that's a yes or no answer.
Yes.
And the other issue with respect to, I think, is an objection based on the best evidence rule. If you're going to testify to the content of text messages and you have the text messages, the best evidence is not your recollection of them, but the messages themselves.
I believe they have been forwarded to Philip.
Were they on your phone, or they weren't on your phone? They were on your husband's phone, correct?
They were on Justin's phone, correct? Yes.
Has she been participating in sharing the transportation for Justin's parenting time with Lila?
It's generally her husband, but it was the particular incident that I was speaking of, she did not want to. But most of the time, they will meet.
Do they meet at a halfway point?
Close, yes. The particular incident that I was speaking about, no.
Was that an incident where Justin had to drive up into Michigan to pick up Lila?
Yes.
And was that in Jackson, Michigan, where that exchange occurred?
Yes.
Does Justin regularly exercises alternate weekend parenting time with Lila?
He tries to, but it's very difficult.
And when you say he tries to, is it being frustrated by conduct of Lila's mom?
Yes.
Have there been some occasions where he couldn't exercise his parenting time because he was called into work?
Yes.
How often has he been prevented from exercising parenting time on his alternate weekend because he unexpectedly got called into work? If you
When we first began dating, he was working 7 days a week. And that continued for quite some time. And then COVID hit and things slowed down and he didn't. And then he was able to get her more regularly. But at the job he is currently at, they can mandate him at a moment's notice and he has to show up. I know that happened the last time that she was supposed to get her. So it has unfortunately been, this week will be 4 weeks and this is our weekend to have her. This upcoming weekend.
you say that actions by Mrs. Murphy have frustrated Justin's ability to have time with Lila?
Yes.
Is she, other than the time that you testified to in November around Thanksgiving of last year, and then in the spring of last year, where Justin had an extended period of time with Lila, were there other extended periods of time that he was able to exercise during the summer?
He did have her, I think maybe about 2 weeks in July when we went on our family vacation. I think it was 2 weeks. And then she spent an additional week with his mother in Georgia at that time.
And what about over the Christmas break last Christmas?
This last Christmas, I think it was about a week after Christmas.
And from your observations of Lila, did she enjoy that extended time with her dad, with you, with your daughters?
Yes.
Do you have any issues that you observed as far as any kind of separation anxiety or any behavioral concerns that you had because she was with you and with her dad and your two girls?
Objection, Your Honor. I'm just gonna, this is information that was not brought up first time around. This is no longer a rebuttal. It's groundbreaking. We're entering new territories that weren't talked about before. Nothing I brought up.
Although I have the ability to redirect to issues raised on cross, I'm usually not real strict about that. If it's information that would be helpful to me, I typically allow it. So I'll allow the answer.
Thank you, Your Honor.
No, I have not observed any issues.
To your knowledge, has her mom called her when she was in your home?
I know Lila has called her, but not the other way around, as far as I know.
Is it fair to say the communication between Justin and police is limited?
Yes.
Have you said anything or done anything which would impair the regard that Lila has for her mom or her stepdad?
No, I'm not sure where those allegations came from.
I have no further questions, Your Honor.
Just have a couple if I could, Your Honor.
Go ahead.
Do you know if Justin's ever filed for denial of parenting time at this court?
I'm sorry, I don't understand.
Has he ever filed a complaint with this court for my client denying him parenting time?
No, not that I'm aware of. I don't think he knew.
That's all, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Devine, next witness.
Call my client, Justin Smith, Your Honor.
So, Mr. Smith, I put you under oath way back at the beginning of the hearing, thinking
Yes, Your
that
Honor.
Mr. Navarre was going to call you first. So you understand that you're still under oath.
Yes, Your Honor.
Go ahead, Mr. Navarre.
Thank you.
Your Honor, before we start, can I just make sure that she has left the room, that Danny is no longer in the room? Thank you. Is she?
She's walking out currently.
Thank you.
He is now out of the room.
Thank you. That's all, Your Honor.
Have you ever filed a parenting time denial complaint with a friend of the court, Justin?
No, I have not. I wasn't sure what steps to take with that.
Has Elise ever offered additional parenting time over and above what's contained in the court or in the judgment of divorce?
When my grandmother passed away, she offered the extra time in between Thanksgiving break.
And did you also get extra time during the spring of last year?
We kind of mutually agreed upon that since she wasn't in school and we were able to go over things with her.
Any other times where you've been offered additional parenting time?
I've arranged agreements with her over Christmas that she could have the Christmas holiday day, even though it was my day that year, in order to get time elsewhere.
Has she denied you parenting time with Lila?
Either denied or made it very, very difficult to go through hoops with what she wanted me to do.
What was it that she wanted you to do that made it difficult?
To do all of the transportation, constantly changing meeting points where we met at, changing times at the last minute.
You heard her testify that she never knew whether you were going to be exercising your alternate weekend parenting time or not. And did you communicate with her on a basis where she was informed that you sought to have your time that was court ordered on your alternate weekends?
I would make sure to text her either Tuesday or Wednesday in that week, and frequently not hearing back, I'd give a day in between as not to badger her about it, and then finally texting her husband Thursday or even Friday.
And when would you typically pick up Lila on Friday to start your weekend?
When I was at my other job previously, got laid off for COVID, it would be as soon as I got out of work, so 6 o'clock-ish, 5. And then with this third shift position, it's been at 3 most frequently.
And where would you meet?
The last time we met was in Waterloo, Indiana. We have had meetings in Bryan, Ohio, Bowling Green, Ohio, Fort Wayne, Indiana.
And why was it that you were meeting at these other locations?
Those were their preferred locations, and I was willing to go there to get time with my daughter.
Who was establishing the exchange place?
Usually Chris, her husband.
Do you know why these locations were being changed?
I could not speak to that.
Is the court's Is it your understanding of the court's order that you're supposed to equally share transportation?
Yes,
And has that occurred?
I have done the lion's share of transporting.
And what time does your weekend parenting time end?
If I look on the schedule, my weekend time ends, I believe it's at 5 on Sunday.
And so on Sunday at 5 o'clock, would you be dropping off or exchanging at these locations that you just testified to?
Usually it's earlier than that. I tend to go by whatever schedule fits them, seeing as we have to drive. I understand if Lila needs time to wind down or take a shower that night because it is a school night.
So typically, is there a more regular or consistent exchange location at the end of your weekend when you exercise your parenting time?
It has been all of those previous locations.
And how long does it take you to get to Waterloo?
It is an hour and a half roughly.
What about Bowling Green?
An hour and 45 minutes,
What about Bryan, Ohio?
roughly the same as Bowling Green.
What about Fort Wayne, Indiana?
About an hour and a half for that one.
Are you the one that's insistent upon these varied locations, or is it somebody else?
It is someone else. I usually go with whatever is easiest for them to do in order to spend time with Lila.
Would that be fair to say you get along to go along?
Yes, absolutely. I make a point to be cordial with both of them.
If you had to drive all the way up to her residence to pick up Lila?
I have done it in the past, yes.
And was that so that you could have your parenting time?
Yes.
Have there been weekends where police has denied you your court-ordered parenting time?
Your Honor, I'm going to object. That's asked and answered.
Well, I never heard of specifics, so I'm going to allow it.
It would be so much as like last minute changes for the weekend. Hey, letting me know on Friday, we have family plans this weekend, so we can't do it this weekend. And I would go along with it.
Would that be after you would have texted her on a Tuesday or a Wednesday or earlier in the week?
Yes.
How many occasions that you recall would she text you on Friday to say, hey, we got plans, it's not going to work out?
I can think of 2 off the top of my head. I'm sure I have more saved in my phone.
And were you offered a weekend, the following weekend for makeup time or not?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no.
And how often would you be called into work on weekends where you were supposed to have your daughter?
It has happened twice in the last 2 months, I believe.
And when do you get, is that something that you get mandated, like Friday morning, you've got to work another shift or half shift, or how's that work?
Yes. If someone calls in on the next shift, we are mandated to cover half of that shift, so 4 hours. And they can let us know that we have to work that Saturday and Sunday on a Friday as well.
And have you communicated that as soon as you found out to police that you got mandated in, so you're not going to be able to meet?
I always do my best to.
Would you you say that she facilitates your parenting time with Lila?
Yes.
Have you, the two of you talked about Lila's education?
When the homeschooling thing was discussed, I brought up my concerns about it, and I was pretty much just told this is what's happening. I did not agree to it.
You share joint legal custody, is that correct?
Yes.
So all of these changes in her and all of the different schools that she's gone to, is that something that you actively participated in and making those decisions?
No.
Would it be fair to say that police just unilaterally made these decisions and that's what it was?
Yes.
Did you have any discussion with her about objecting to that or wanting to be involved in having input in making these legal to custodial decisions for your daughter?
I was just informed that this is happening, and that's how it is.
Has she shared with you any issues about your daughter's medical care, selection of physicians, dental care?
No, she has not.
Have you attended or has she sought medical? Have you sought medical care on her behalf when you've had her when you're exercising your parenting time?
Yes. She has had strep throat one time during my parenting time, and I got her on an antibiotic to take care of that and communicated that. And I recently got her glasses because she was complaining about headaches when she was reading.
And so you took her to get tested and the prescription was written and you paid for glasses, correct?
Yes.
Do you have health insurance coverage for her or dental insurance coverage for her?
I have everything covered for her.
For Lila?
Yes.
And who's the carrier if you know?
UMR is the carrier right now.
And have you provided that information to Elise?
As soon as I got it.
And so when would that have been?
I was hired at this job at August 24th of 2020, and I would have I was eligible to get healthcare 90 days after that fact. And as soon as I received them in the mail, I let her have it. I don't understand why I would refuse to give her a card if I'm covering her on everything.
So how did you get the card to Elise when you got the coverage?
I have previously sent her pictures of each one when we're not physically there to do it. And the last time I handed it to her.
That would have been at a parenting time exchange of your daughter, either pickup or return?
Yeah. Did
you recall when that would have been?
It was when I drove up to Jackson. Me and my father-in-law drove up to Jackson.
And what's your father-in-law's first name?
Tony.
And you have a good relationship with Tony?
A great relationship with Tony. I don't have a great relationship with my father, and he's kind of been teaching me how to fix up things around the house that we bought. He's easy to talk to if I have any problems. Great relationship.
And how was his relationship with Lyla?
He's great. She calls him Grandpa Tony. Gives him a hug right away. As my wife previously mentioned, they spent hours talking about photography stuff. He's a supportive grandfather to her.
And how often would Tony accompany you in transporting Lyla, either from on Fridays or on Sundays? How often would he ride along?
He goes with me about every Friday just to keep me company, and he's retired, so he likes to go around. And on Sundays, either Danny goes with me or I go by myself on Sundays.
So on the Sundays, is it the whole family? You, Danny, the two girls?
They do.
And Lila?
The little one tends to get car sick if it's been a while. She's in the car for a while. So if it's over an hour drive, I usually take Lila.
How would you describe the relationship that Lila has with Layla?
It's good. They get along just like sisters. At first, they kind of bickered a little bit when they were feeling each other out, and now they love to spend time with each other.
And how about her relationship with Nora?
Nora idolizes her, walks around everywhere she goes, and Lila's happy to teach her and show her things and be a good big sister to her.
Would you say that you've complied substantially, significantly, or how, to what degree, exercising what your court ordered parenting time is?
I do not get near as much as what the court order says.
Objection, Your Honor, that was non-responsive.
It was non-responsive. Listen closely to the question and try to answer that question.
Okay.
Have you substantially complied with the court order parenting time?
To the best of my ability, yes.
And when you have not had the ability to do that, was that caused on your end primarily, or caused because of Elise's conduct?
It has been both in the past, by changing locations, and mine by being forced to work.
The location change be something that would be more frequent than getting called into work?
Yes, there's been frequent location changes.
What kind of communication have you been able to have with Lila when it's not during your parenting time?
She will message me with Facebook Messenger, and we'll talk briefly, and she always says she has to go. I'll call her for a little bit, and it's always she has to go. It's not the hour time as previously stated. Everything's been very short.
Do you know why that is?
I do not know. She just says she has to go.
You talked negatively about her mom in her presence?
Never.
What do you think you could do to improve the communication that as co-parents could occur, or what are you willing to do?
I'm willing to try anything to encourage communication, whether it's just keeping on, getting a hold of her more often, or if there's something she needs me to do to better facilitate that relationship, then I'm more than happy to.
Has Elise shared with you anything about the religious upbringing in their home as it relates to Lila?
Lila mentions enjoying going to worship and stuff while she's there, but Elise says no.
Has Elise shared with you any information from a medical standpoint about any other than the strep throat issue? Has there been communication from her to you regarding medical or dental professional health care for your daughter?
No, she did not communicate with me that she took her to the dentist recently. I found that out through Lila.
How would you characterize her willingness to communicate with you regarding your daughter?
I would say she doesn't want to communicate with me at all.
You had testified that, or there had been some testimony that you had had some issues with alcohol in the past. Is that correct?
Absolutely, I have.
When was it that you last had an issue with alcohol?
2014.
What happened in 2014? Well, let me strike that. Was that after the judgment of divorce or before the judgment of divorce?
That was after.
So what month of 2014 did that occur?
It was fall 2014, I believe.
What happened?
I was out enjoying a night with friends, and I made a bad decision to go to another bar, and I got behind the wheel and I got pulled over for it.
And so you spend the night in jail?
My friend who I was with bailed me out.
And what were you convicted of?
OVI.
And do you know what your blood alcohol level was?
I do not know. I can't recall it at this time.
So did you get some kind of probation, or what happened at sentencing?
Yes, I did. Actually, I did 30 days in a halfway house, kind of like a rehab. And that was it. And then I had an interlock in my car for a while.
When did that interlock come out?
2015, late 2015.
Have you had any kind of interlock device in any vehicle that's operated since that time?
No,
Have you had any issues with alcohol, excessive alcohol consumption since that time?
no.
And so what have you learned from that experience that has, well, strike that. So how have you changed your behavior so that you have not had any issues with alcohol since the incident in fall of 2014?
I took a long, hard look in the mirror, and this isn't the path I want to go down. Danny's been a solid rock for me. I just realized this isn't the way I want to live my life. This isn't the way I want to be, and I've completely changed now.
You ever been intoxicated during your parenting time with your daughter?
I've had a few drinks at dinner, but never intoxicated.
How would you describe your relationship with Lila?
It's great. We're very close. Like she's a very snuggly kid, like we've said before. She loves to cuddle up and watch movies. In the morning, I usually go and snuggle with her while she's waking up. We read books together. I try to take her to the movies and do things with her, as well as show her how to do things.
How does she show her love, her affection towards you?
She's very snuggly with hugs and love yous and you're the best daddy ever. Very affectionate, like has been stated before.
From your observations of her, when you're together with her, you have a very close, loving bond, the two of you, for each other.
We absolutely do.
Does she have a close and loving bond with your wife, Danny,
Yes, she does.
and with two girls as well? Close and loving bond with them?
I'm sorry, I didn't hear the question.
Oh, with the other two girls as well, a close and loving bond?
Absolutely, very much so.
What are you willing to do, and what have you done to show her love and affection?
I listen to her problems when she needs to talk about things, when she's upset. I try to show her, tell her I love her all the time, spend that quality one-on-one time with her. Just this weekend, her and I have plans just to hang out together because Danny has plans with her daughters.
And when you say quality time one-on-one, give the court some examples of things that the two of you share together when you're doing that quote quality time.
We play board games together. We read her books together. Sometimes we just watch a movie together. Other times she just likes to hang out and help out around the house, and she enjoys doing that. Just if I'm doing something like that, she just enjoys the time spent together doing things.
She help you out around the house?
Yeah, age appropriate. If I'm folding laundry or something, she'll come in and want to help out.
That's something that she volunteers to do?
Yes.
Does it appear to you that she is has a willingness to do that, to be involved and to be a helper?
Oh, yes, she does. She enjoys it.
Is that one of the ways that she demonstrates her love to you?
Yeah, yes, yeah.
What do you do as it relates to any religious practice that she has with her in her mom's home? You willing to promote that?
Yes, yes. If we, like Danny said, we don't practice anything here. But I'm more than willing to do it with her. If she would ask to go do it, then I'm more than willing to.
Do you promote from an educational standpoint fundamental, sound Judeo-Christian values with your daughter?
Yes, we want her to be honest and kind and respectful to everyone.
And how do you instill that in her?
Just by demonstrating it in our own actions. That's how we try to instill that in.
So teaching by example?
Yes.
You ever have conversations with her about why it's important to conduct yourself in a proper manner and a good manner?
She seems to understand that just by observing the world around her as why.
Are you willing to continue that education of her from a religious standpoint in your home?
Absolutely.
Would you be willing to log in online and participate with her if she wishes to do that?
Sure. No problem with that.
Has Elise shared with you any of that information? Which religious community they're involved in?
No.
Did she share with you whether it was a denominational or non-denominational church that she would attend in person and or remotely?
No.
Would you be willing to communicate with her and coordinate that for the benefit of your daughter?
Yes, absolutely.
Have you asked her about that in the past and not received any response?
I have not asked about that in the past. Lila's never brought up a willingness to do that while she's here.
Explain to the court your financial ability and capacity to provide food and and clothing and professional health care for your daughter?
As I said, right now I'm working third shift. I provide the insurance for her already. Starting Monday, this job was always a placeholder for me because I was laid off from a previous position for COVID. I chose to get this third shift position in order to provide insurance and get an income for my family instead of being on unemployment. It was always a placeholder until I could find something better. I've now found a first shift position making $40,000 a year salaried, along with bonuses and all the benefits that go along with it.
And when is it that you start that new job, new position?
This coming Monday, the 26th, I believe is the date.
And what's the name of your new employer?
FCC.
And what kind of job will you be working on a salaried position?
I will be an internal quality coordinator.
And does that position, salaried position, also offer you an opportunity for potential bonuses?
Yes, it does.
Would that be a position where you would be mandated in, on a moment's notice for weekend mandated work?
No, it will not be. I went over that with them in the interview process, and as I signed my offer sheet and contract, that is not included there.
Was that something that was important to you, so it would not interfere with your parenting time with Lila?
Absolutely.
That's something that you negotiated with them?
Yes. I told them I will need at least every other weekend off of work so I can get time with my daughter. And they told me it would very rarely be more than 2 hours a week of overtime.
And what time would you be able to get out on Fridays?
3:30.
That offers health insurance benefits and other dental vision benefits?
Yes, it does, through Anthem.
So how long have you owned your home?
We moved in September of 2020.
And you were able to maintain the home, the taxes, the insurance, the mortgage payments?
Absolutely. No issue there.
And describe Lila's room.
It's great. It's got newly done hardwood floors. It's got a fresh paint job in it. She's got her signs up in there. She's got her books, her mirror, all her girl makeup stuff she does there. Yeah, she loves her room. She hangs out in there all the time. She spends a lot of time cleaning it to make it look nice.
How does she demonstrate her comfort in the home, in her room? What does she do? Not what does she say, but what do you observe?
She enjoys reading in there. She'll write her poems that she likes to write in her room. When it comes to bedtime, she doesn't need me to, snuggle with her or anything, doesn't need the TV on. She feels safe and comforted there to just go to sleep when it's bedtime.
Does she share her writings with you?
She will occasionally.
Does she take some pride in some of that you
Yes, she does.
observe?
Yes, the one she shows to me, she is smiling from ear to ear.
So how would you characterize your relationship with Danny?
It is a great relationship. We see eye to eye on most things. She's my other half. We agree on parenting issues. If we have a disagreement, we don't do it in front of the children. We make sure to table it until they go to bed so we can speak about it then. No yelling, no anything like that. Calm voices.
No arguing in front of the children?
No.
You intend on continuing to stay at your current residence for a period of time?
Yes. This is our home for the future for a long time.
Think, or do you believe that Elise has any moral fitness issues that would impair her ability to effectively parent Lila?
Not morally, no.
And how about you? Are you morally fit to effectively parent your daughter?
Yes, I am.
What about your mental and physical health?
It's very healthy.
Taking any medicine?
I do take an antidepressant. I started that about 6 months ago with the third shift position. I noticed that
Go ahead.
I noticed that I wasn't feeling the way I normally do. The lack of sleep was making me feel sort of apathetic, so I took proactive steps to take care of that.
And you take that how often?
Once daily.
And are you taking it as prescribed?
Yes.
You ever abuse any medication in the past?
Never.
Has Elise shared with you school involvements other than informing you that Lila has changed school?
One time she had me on the phone for a parent-teacher conference, and promptly the phone hung up 2 minutes into it, and I couldn't get a call back.
Has she informed you of any of those school activities or school events that Lila's?
No, I've never been told about a daddy-daughter dance or anything. I would have been there in a heartbeat for that.
What have you done as far as observing your daughter's report cards or how she's doing in school? Have you been involved in that in the past?
Elise just tells me how she's doing.
She's doing well in school, isn't that true?
Yes, as far as I know.
But since COVID hit, it's been pretty much remote for your daughter. Is that your understanding?
Yes.
Would you be willing to continue that program that she's currently in if the court grants you some additional parenting time or modifies the custody arrangement?
Yes, I can absolutely help teach her that. And my wife being a teacher speaks to that as well.
What about your Aunt Jan, who's
I'm sure she would help out, she being a retired elementary school teacher as well.
I would like to, Your Honor, object to that. I mean, the last question, like it's stricken, it's purely speculative. If we wanted to know those questions, we should have called them as a witness and asked them themselves.
I'm going to allow the testimony to stand.
Yeah.
Thank you, Judge. So, do you have the ability to provide for remote learning if you had a week on, week off schedule with your daughter?
Yes, we have computers and internet access and all of that is necessary for that.
Has Grandpa Tony been helpful with Lila as far as education is concerned?
Yes, he's very grandfatherly, trying to pass down things that he knows on to her.
What would you be willing to do as far as a communication standpoint with Elise? What do you think you could do to further her relationship with Lila?
I think just more transparency for both of us would be a good thing, and sharing with each other, as well as I'd let her talk to Lila whenever she felt like. I've never stopped that before.
You would facilitate that communication when Lila's with you to be able to reach out to her mom and FaceTime or have some other phone conversation?
Yes, she's free to contact them whenever she wants. She's here.
Have you ever done anything to prevent her from reaching out and communicating with her mom when she's with you?
No.
There been any issues of domestic violence in your home with you and with your wife, Danny?
Never.
Since the entry of the judgment of divorce, was there any issues of domestic violence between you and police?
No, there was never any instances of domestic violence ever.
When you became aware of the postings on Facebook and other social media that were made by Elise, what did you do?
I contacted you. I did not show them to Lila. I did not want her to get worried or upset. I reached out to an attorney.
Were you concerned about that situation?
Very much so.
Was it alarming to you?
Yes. Yes, it was.
Were you concerned for your daughter's personal safety?
I do not think that neither Elise nor Chris would harm her in any way.
So was that what caused you to file the motion that you filed? Brings us to court ultimately today?
Yes.
Are you aware of any other incidents of domestic violence in Elise's household between her and her husband?
Not between them, just what I've seen on Facebook where people commented if she's filed a police report, and she commented back. There's no
Objection, Your Honor, here, sec.
Well, he can testify to what she said.
Well, I guess I also would say best evidence as well because I would like to see this conversation.
That's a valid objection. Do we have the Facebook communication?
Yes, I do.
Judge, we do, but, I mean, if we want to screen share and put that up, that's fine. But I would note to the court that she's already admitted in her answer to our motion. Posted those things.
I acknowledge that, but we still, it's the best evidence rule. rather than your client testifying to what he remembers being posted on Facebook, the best evidence is what was posted.
You have those,
Yes, I
you have
do.
those postings, Justin?
Yes, I do. Right here, it says, they didn't believe me. They never do. The cop literally said, "Let's not point fingers."
Well, let's talk about the postings that she put up on Facebook.
Yes, this was from her commenting on that.
So let's have you put up what she said, what she posted, what Elise posted, okay?
Yeah, it's right. I don't know if you can see it in the camera right there.
Yes, at this point too, just for the record, Your Honor, I'm going to object to chain of custody as well. If you can't, chain of custody, I'm just objecting for the record. It's problem chain of custody. I can't verify that. It's not it's not self-authenticating itself.
The objection's overruled.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, Justin, what I would like you to do is I'd like to read the post that Elise put up, and then I would like you to show that from your phone to the court.
Would you like to see the multiple posts? I have multiple of them.
So, Mr. Smith, are you able to pull those up on your computer?
Not on my computer currently, no. I don't have them emailed or anything here. My phone is currently losing its mind. Here we go. I have where she was bruised and beat up. Thank you, everyone. I'm okay.
Could you raise that up a little bit higher because it's not showing all the way on the camera? There you go. Thank you.
I've got another post where she posted help 911. I don't know what it's doing currently. Here we go. Here's the post in crutches in the air cast. And then I have I'm in so much pain. I think my foot is broken post. And help 911 post from her from that night as well, which was what initially raised my concern.
Objection, Your Honor. I'd like that stricken from the record because I was muted and I didn't realize I was muted. The last one, anything speaking to the help 911 stricken from the record. This is not anything that my client admitted to, nor was it in any of the mentioned in the motion, nor did it come up in any other place in this case.
It's part of the postings that apparently prompted the filing of the motion. I'm going to allow it.
Your Honor, she never admitted to it.
Shouldn't have to admit. I mean, he's got access to whatever she posts. Whether she admits it or not is inconsequential. If you want to call her and rebuttal and have her say, try to rebut it, you can do that, but I'm allowing it.
Thank you, Judge. Justin, how do you see your daughter's quality of life being improved, if she's allowed to come live with you and your family in Ohio.
I believe it would be great. She has established friends here. I think going to school with proper PPE is a very important thing for a child, for the social aspect alone of it, let alone learning in a classroom setting. She's able to get more one-on-one time here, as we can focus with less children around. And she's well provided for, well fed, good clothes. I mean, that does.
What would you be willing to do from a communication standpoint with Elise to promote the mother-daughter relationship?
As I said, Lila she will be able to call her whenever she feels like. I will not restrict that one bit. I will gladly share with her any schooling information, completely open once I receive it. And I don't want to take away her relationship with her mother. I want them to have a strong relationship.
You'd be willing to exchange on what days? On Sundays? If you had a week on, week off schedule?
That would work, yes.
Is it your preference, or would you be willing to, agree on a standard exchange place and time?
Yes, I would prefer that. It stay the same place and time.
Would you be willing to equally share the transportation?
Yes, I believe we both should equally share it.
Are you seeking any kind of financial advantage by your request for the custody modification?
Absolutely not. I don't want or need for anything of financial needs, wants.
Thank you, Judge. I have no further questions at this time.
Questions, Mr. Weed?
Yes, Your Honor. Have you had any past hospitalizations for your mental health?
No.
And you say you're taking an antidepressant?
Yes.
And what is it again?
Trintellix is what it's called. TRINTELLIX.
All right. And what is your dosage on that?
10 milligrams.
Okay.
I take it every evening.
And did you recently quit your job?
I gave proper 2 weeks notice. My last day will be Friday night, overnight. Thursday night, Friday morning.
How long did you work there for?
8 months. As I said, this job was always a placeholder. It was just a way for me to provide insurance and an income for my family.
So speaking about insurance, when is your insurance going to kick in?
At the new job, I believe it is 60 days after start.
Did you provide any proof of your change of employment to the court today?
Last week, I called the friend of the court and told them of my change of employment.
Did you provide that the contract that you signed to your attorney?
I do not have a copy of that. No, I'll receive a copy when I go in for my orientation.
So how many times have you been married?
Once to Elise and the second time with Danny. 2.
That's 2?
Yes.
And you were married to her when?
We were married.
Let me rephrase that. To Danny. When did you marry Danny?
November of 2020.
And then you promptly filed this motion.
After seeing the post on social media, yes.
How many children do you have and what are their names?
I have one, Lila, and I have two stepchildren, Layla and Nora.
And so you live in Ohio, correct?
Yes.
Where in Ohio?
In Salina, Ohio, Celina.
How far away is that from Jackson, Michigan?
Roughly 120 miles,
How long does that roughly take you?
about 2.5 hours,
How long does it take you to get to Lansing?
a little over 3.
So you had stated before that at most you were traveling about an hour and a half for the pickup drop off.
We changed locations so frequently. Most of the time it was Bowling Green, and that was an hour and 45.
An hour and 45. So pretty close to being in the center, correct?
Decently.
And you chose to move to Ohio?
Yes, I did.
And do you ever transport Lila?
I get her when I do every Friday and every Sunday.
Do you drive there?
On Fridays, Tony usually goes with me because he's retired and I get off of work.
Do you drive there?
Do I drive to the
Are you
pickup place?
driving the car when you come to pick her up?
Sometimes Tony drives. Sometimes we take his car.
So what is your bedtime routine for Lila?
We start teeth brushing, face washing about 7:45. Then the parents and the kids go downstairs to, the 2 girls' rooms, and they all read a story. They all get a story. And then because Lila is a little bit older, she's allowed to stay up for another 20 minutes and read one of her books before going to bed.
So how many times have you moved to a different home since the divorce?
I moved to Ohio and I lived with my father until I got enough saved up for an apartment. And then I lived in an apartment for 1.5 years. Then I moved to a bigger apartment for close to 3 years. And now we are in our forever home.
So is that 4 different moves?
Yes. With significant time at each place.
You never lived in Adrian, Michigan?
Briefly after we divorced, yes, I did.
Who did you live with?
Her name was Jennifer Allen.
And how did you meet Jennifer?
We met at a bar.
She's a stripper, right?
She was. This was 7 years ago.
So is that 5 times you've moved?
If you're counting that, 7 years ago. We can also say at least moved to Detroit after we split.
I'm asking you, did you move 5 times?
Yep.
And how long have you lived in your current home?
Since September of 2020.
You own that home?
Yes.
So you and your wife purchased it together?
Yes.
Didn't you get married in September? Or
Yes.
did you get married in September or did you get married in
Yeah,
November?
we got married in November.
And you bought the home in September.
Yes.
So you weren't married when you bought the home?
No, there was plans to be married.
So when you bought the home, you didn't buy it as a married couple?
No.
So, but you're both on the mortgage?
No, she is just her.
So your wife owns the house?
I guess that's how it works, yeah.
So she bought the house, you got married, then moved in?
I moved in before we were married.
And have you ever, you've never attended any parent-teacher conference with Lila, correct?
I usually don't know they're happening. The one time I did, it was a phone call and then I was hung up on.
Are you able to call the school itself?
When I know what school she's going to,
So you called and it hung up. Did you try to call the school back?
I was not on the phone with the school. It was through Elisa's cell phone and it hung up.
So Elise has to call you in order for you to come to a parent-teacher conference?
If I knew when they were, I would gladly do it.
So you've never had a conversation with any of Lila's teachers, have you?
No, I have not.
And so are you a self-professed agnostic or atheist?
I would say agnostic.
What does agnostic mean to you?
It means I have some doubts about religion, but I'm not discrediting it.
And isn't it true that you think people that believe in such higher power are quote sheep?
No, I've never said that once.
You never said that once?
No,
Do you believe that people that believe in that are blind?
no,
You've never said that?
no.
Okay. And you admit that you know that Lila wants to be a worship pastor, correct?
She has never mentioned that here. The last time I asked her what she wanted to be, she said a singer, an actress, and then a tattoo artist.
Well, you said she writes poems. What does she write about?
Sometimes she writes about what we did that day. Sometimes she writes about flowers, whatever she's thinking of.
Does she ever write about God, Jesus, religion?
She has.
Have you ever ridiculed her about it?
Never. I'm very supportive towards her.
So have you ever taken Lila to a dentist appointment?
I was planning on it when she had her cavities, and yes, I have when I lived in Michigan. Yes, I have.
You took her yourself?
Yes, I have.
Okay. Have you ever been you've been convicted of several crimes, correct?
Only DUIs.
How many?
3 of them.
So you're a habitual offender of DUIs?
And the most recent one was 7 years ago.
I asked you, so you've had 3, correct?
Yes, I've had 3.
All right. Do you think that Lila is old enough and mature enough to express her opinion regarding where she wants to live?
I think she's 9 years old. I think she will believe what anyone pushes her in the direction of because she is 9 years old.
So is that a yes or a no?
No.
So she, do you still drink alcohol?
Maybe a beer with dinner. Never to an intoxicating effect.
Never?
Never.
Do you believe that you're an alcoholic?
I do not.
So have you ever been in Alcoholics Anonymous?
When I went to 30 days in the halfway house, we had to take rehabilitation classes, and I took a hard look in the mirror and decided to change my life.
So I'm gonna ask you again, were you ever in Alcoholics Anonymous? Yes
No.
or no?
No.
Do you have a valid driver's license?
Yes.
Which state?
Ohio.
So you were pulled over in Ohio by a state patrol car, right? For operating a vehicle under the influence of alcohol or
Yes.
drugs. And that was in Ohio?
Yes.
You were found guilty, correct?
Yes.
And that happened November 2nd, 2014, correct?
Yes.
And they suspended your license for 2 years, correct?
Yes.
And that was to last until November 2nd, 2016, correct?
Yes.
Now, you had stated earlier that the interlock device came off in 2015, correct?
I may have got the dates messed up. It's been a while in the past.
Well, do you remember November 12th, 2015, when you were pulled over for operating your vehicle without an operating license?
Yes, I needed to get to work, and that was the only option.
And you were found guilty of that infraction, correct?
Yes, I pleaded no contest.
And then you've been pulled over for speeding, correct?
Over 10 years ago.
You didn't get pulled over for speeding originally during that June 17th, 2014 event in which you were operating your vehicle under the influence of alcohol?
In Ohio?
In Ohio.
No, I got my OBI. I've only had one OBI in Ohio.
And then you were sent to rehab treatment instead of jail, correct?
Yes.
Was that Lancaster? Is that what it's
Yes.
called? Okay. And you were ordered to attend Lancaster in January 2016, correct?
Yes.
And you were released from there February 2nd, 2016, correct?
Yes.
So anytime during that time, did you drive your car with your child in the car?
Between that time period?
While you had a suspended driver's license?
Not to my knowledge.
Not to your knowledge?
Nope.
And then you were ordered to have an ignition interlock device installed on your vehicle, correct?
Yes.
Were you aware that you were found to be non-compliant several times?
No.
So you remember being non-compliant February 9th, 2016?
No.
What about March 2nd, 2017?
No, these were years ago. I have changed my life since then.
How about, do you remember being non-compliant June 20th, 2017?
No, it was years ago.
Well, it was how many, 4 years ago?
Yes.
Is that about the time, was about 4 years ago that the interlock device came off your car?
If I recall so, yes.
It was on your car for at least 3 to 4 years, correct?
It was not that long.
Do you remember how long it was on your car for?
I don't remember how long it was on my car for because it was years and years ago. I don't have a detailed account of that.
Well, is it on your car now?
No, it's not on my car now.
Okay. So you haven't exercised parenting time with Lila in almost a month, correct?
Yes.
Did you communicate with Lila as to why you weren't exercising your parenting time?
I speak with her on Messenger frequently.
I'm gonna ask again. Did you tell her why you weren't exercising parenting time?
At that point in time, I don't believe I did. I was doing 12 hours a day at work. I got lost in the shuffle.
12 hours a day. That was just recently?
Yes.
So could have your messages to my client have gotten lost in the shuffle as well?
Maybe once.
All right. So why did you wait until now to file this motion?
Honestly, I wasn't sure of all of my rights. And after getting my parenting agreement and reviewing that and seeing the domestic violence posts, it was alarming. I don't want my daughter to grow up in that.
Has your attorney ever talked to you about Our Family Wizard?
No, but I know what that is.
You think that would help you guys?
It's worth a shot.
Would that help you and my client?
It's worth a shot. I'm willing to do that.
So speaking of church, Elise, my client, she originally met your mom at her church, right?
Yes.
Did you ever even tell my client that you weren't picking up Lila?
When are you referring to?
In the past month that you haven't exercised your parenting time, did you ever let her know that you weren't picking her up?
That's when it could have, that one time could have got lost in the shuffle working so many hours.
Okay. So my client has offered you joint custody several times, correct? 50-50?
No, never.
Never?
Always informally.
Always informally. What does that mean?
Always, hey, you can have her this time and if we can make it work, but it's always on her terms.
So she has offered you 50-50.
Informally, I would like it to be through the court if we're doing that, to get set times.
Can you name 2 or 3 positive attributes that your former spouse, my client, brings to being a parent for your child?
She's very intelligent. She is a loving, caring mother. And I believe she wants to do what's best for Lila.
That's all at this time, Your Honor.
Any redirect, Mr. Navarre?
No, Your Honor.
Any further proofs, Mr. Navarre?
No, Your Honor.
Okay, Mr. Weed?
I'd like to call my first witness, my client, Elise Murphy, just for a few questions.
Okay. Ms. Murphy, you understand that you're still under oath?
Yes, sir.
One moment, Your
Go
Honor.
ahead, Mr. Weed.
Do you have support for your children here in Michigan?
Yes. My mom lives in Jackson, but she travels up to visit my kids multiple times a week. She's not retired yet, but she works at an elementary school as the head, at the middle school as the head cook. And then she also works occasionally part-time and as a cake decorator at a bakery at Walmart. And then I've got my sister, McKenna, who is a dental assistant. She's frequently spending time with my kids. My kids go to her house, spend the night often. And then also my in-laws are frequently at my house. My father-in-law is also retired. He actually is a partial amputee, so he's always looking for stuff to do with the kids. And then my sister-in-law, my husband has a huge family, so everybody's very involved. We do family parties often with my family and my husband's family.
And you do have text messages in which you have talked to Justin, updating him as to how Lila's doing at school and talking about future student conferences, correct?
Correct.
And has he responded to it?
Yeah, he said it was awesome and he was proud of her. Regarding the conferences where the phone calls dropped, I was in Parma, which if anybody knows is a dead zone for phones.
I can attest.
And so it wasn't an intentional call drop. Lila's never, ever, ever had a single issue in school. The idea that she's behind in math is asinine, to be honest with you. She's an exceptional student. She's above and beyond.
What did you do? What did you work on this summer with her?
We did math the entire summer that she was at our house because we knew that that was kind of one of her lower points. And because of working on math just a couple days a week, she's already far beyond where she should be at.
And this working on math, is that since she visited Justin's home in November?
Yeah, so when schools first let out in March, we were all just kind of like, what do we do? Because we had no idea. But once we had decided on a curriculum, we stuck with that curriculum throughout the summer just to make sure that they didn't fall behind. All of our kids kind of did at least a partial summer school with us, and then my stepkids also did school with their mom, kind of. She kind of does more of the artsy stuff with them.
One moment, Your Honor. That's all. That's all, Your Honor.
Questions, Mr. Navarre?
None, Your Honor.
Does that complete the proofs, gentlemen?
Other than interviewing the child for her preference, yes, Your Honor.
I would ask this court if that's possible. I do believe the child is mature enough to be asked that question, Your Honor.
I would certainly interview a 9-year-old. When they're younger, 5, 6, even 7, it's hit and miss. But a 9-year-old is capable of expressing a preference. So it's one of the best interest factors. I think at least I have to make an attempt. It's certainly possible that when I meet with her, she isn't able to express a preference. And if that's so, that's so. But I'll be able to determine that. So what I'd like to do is try to set up a time to do that, and then have another time where you come back and make your arguments. I can try to find something right now. Let me take a look at my schedule. I'm assuming since Lila's home, it should be pretty easy for me to set up a time for a Zoom call with her.
Yes,
The
that's
courthouse is, I prefer interviewing kids in person, but the courthouse is closed to the public right now, so that's just not practical. The only thing I'm going to be able to do is a Zoom interview. I will want absolute assurance that there's nobody listening in, nobody who can hear what we're talking about, so that she can be comfortable sharing without any fear that either parent is ever going to have a clue what she tells me.
Your Honor,
Kids.
I don't know if it's like out of left field. I could always even allow it to take place here at my office via Zoom, but I don't know how comfortable she'll be, necessarily. But it'd be no different than that's just.
I don't think that's necessary. We can do it from her home. We just need to find a time to do that. So let me take a look at my calendar coming up and see what I can do. Take me a moment. Looks like I got to log on.
Judge, would you also caution the parties as it relates to any potential coaching or otherwise as it relates to their daughter?
Yeah, I don't want any.
But I think that it would be appropriate coming from the court.
I don't want any coaching to take place. You simply tell her the judge would like to speak to her privately, confidentially, and that's all you need to tell her.
Your Honor, she's not even aware of what's going on. So I haven't told her what's happening. I don't know. I mean, she's mentioned that she's heard some stuff elsewhere, but I haven't specifically told her what's going on.
Okay, well, that gets a little, you're gonna have to tell her something.
Okay, I just want you to know, I'll tell her, but there's been no talk of it at our house.
You can tell her, Daddy and Mommy have been back to court about where you're going to be living and whether that should be changed. And the judge would like to talk to you privately about that.
Okay.
You have to at least tell her that. Otherwise, she's going to wonder, what in the world does the judge want to talk to her? But
okay.
Yeah, she doesn't need to know any details. She doesn't need to know who's initiating this. She obviously needs to know why I'm involved, but I think that's all you need to tell her. And absolutely, please, no attempts to try to influence her. Okay, so let's go back to the login screen here. Our court calendaring system is quite antiquated. I can only look at a 2-week block at a time. So it's quite cumbersome, but please bear with me. So would it be possible for me to interview her Monday, May 3rd at 3:30?
That's fine.
Your Honor,
And let me fo-
I just think the Zoom.
will
Yes.
it be the same Zoom information?
Yeah, same information. It just obviously won't be on the record. I can connect from Chambers.
Thank you.
And counsel, I think I could have you back here Tuesday, May 4th at let's say 3 p.m. Does that work for you to make your final arguments?
It should work, Your Honor, for me.
Judge, I am available. I have a trial that's scheduled for that day at 10 a.m. But I believe that is going to be resolved with consent judgment. So I'm available May 4th.
All right, so let's do that. I'll get it scheduled for 3 p.m. If for whatever reason, and like any scheduling matter, if you run into a problem, I'm happy to try to accommodate you with another date, but it looks like I should be able to safely do it then. So let's just plan on that. Okay, thank you, counsel.
If I just may inquire of opposing counsel, what his preference is. I'm happy to argue, give closing arguments to your honor, but I know that you took careful notes, you listened, you assessed the credibility of the witnesses and the evidence. And arguments are arguments, they're not evidence, but and I haven't discussed this with my client, the consideration of maybe waiving closing arguments, but I wanted to see if Attorney Reed would consider that. Maybe we discuss that with our clients and then just notify the court accordingly, but we do have a date and time for that to occur.
I would agree. I said I would agree.
Whether you choose to make arguments, I can leave to you, but I still want to make my ruling on the record.
That would be
Okay.
fine, Your Honor. Thank you, Your Honor.
All right, so just plan on 3 p.m. on the 4th then for a decision.
Thank you, Lord. All right. Thank you, Your Honor.
Thank you.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Have a good day, everyone.